Hello everyone and welcome to my top 10 video. Now when we finish a game, we expect to have at least a decent ending to the story, something that leaves us saying, that was pretty good. Yeah, that was okay. Most hit that mark, some fall short, but some go above and beyond the Call of Duty when it comes to what we expect in a video game ending. Some make us feel emotions that no one wants to admit they felt when playing a video game. So whether they left you crying rivers of tears or left you with a fist in the air saying, "F yeah," these are my top 10 video game endings of all time. So to all you little people in the comments already saying, "Oh my god, why wasn't X game in this list? You're so stupid, you should kill yourself cause you bad." All I say is keep an open mind and refrain from using vulgar language. But if you just can't help yourself and that little troll inside your head takes over, please at least use proper grammar, because people will point that shit out to you and they will make a fool of you. So without further ado, let's get into the list. And of course, spoiler alert, this is your first and final warning. In the prestigious 10th place goes to Mass Effect. This game was actually the last game to be chosen for the list, so it only makes sense that it should be the last to appear on the list. Now I'm not saying the ending to Mass Effect was bad, just that it was a bit too cliche and a bit too Hollywood to be higher up on the list. What with the whole, he's dead, but no, he appears on the climbing rubble of the fallen building and stands at the top like a true hero. Badass, but not unique. I must say that actually the redeeming factor in this game was its story, not its gameplay. Ugh, yuck, that gameplay. And the ending was definitely satisfying enough and set up the sequels perfectly. But I sadly have to put it at the last place, but you can have a participation trophy. In the name of science, I pick, in the 9th place, Super Mario Galaxy. Now this game is definitely one that's gonna get everyone riled up. Everyone is going to flip their shit. But remember, this is my top 10, not yours, so suck it, nerd. Now I picked Super Mario Galaxy because of its fun, but scientific ending. And it was slightly tear-jerking, but, you know, just slightly. It replicates the death and birth of planets, stars, galaxies, and even universes. So, that's teaching them kids about science. Yeah! Yay science. After Bowser's planet becomes a black hole and begins to suck all the other planets into it, the cute little stars begin to sacrifice themselves to stop the black hole from destroying everything. Which doesn't actually work. Everyone gets sucked in, but they don't die. Everyone gets sucked in anyway, but after everything stops spinning, it collapses and explodes into a new universe filled with new galaxies and stars. Everyone turns out in a new universe, and the wheel turns 360. The life and death of universes, galaxies, stars. It's beautiful. In the 7th place of our top 10, we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. One of my favorite games of all time. Not exactly the best ending, but it's good enough to be on this list. Now this one's a bit different. It wasn't the traditional ending that was good. It wasn't the boss fight mixed with the ending cutscene, but the credits and after credits scene that got this spot. The ending of the game itself was a bit lackluster, to be honest. At the end, Zelda pretty much tells you everything you already know, such as that if you defeat Ganon and Ganondorf, then you will save the land of Hyrule. Whoopee! But the credits sequence was a montage of clips that show the land of Hyrule that you saved. It shows you the result of what you fought so hard for, blood, sweat, and tears for so many days, maybe even a week. And to me, that was so precious. It was so good seeing everyone dancing into a free world. Yeah! And we can't forget about the after credit sequence. Oh, that moment when Link lays the Master Sword to rest in the Temple of Time, combined with the epic musical score that exceeded it after, was enough to send shivers up my spine and my fist in the air as a child. In the 6th place is the masterpiece we all know as Portal 2. I could definitely say Portal 2 is one of the greatest games of the 21st century. Because of its unique and innovative concept and excellent use of gameplay mechanics and its fantastically designed puzzles, with an incredibly deep story that goes way beyond what you see in the game. And one of its most shining points has to be its ending. Not necessarily the boss fight, which was a bit too easy after you figure out what to do, but what happens after you shoot your portal at the moon. And what comes next is some of the most epic character development, which results in termination of GLaDOS's recently acquired Carolyn personality, which saves you, by the way. so that things could go back to the way that they were before Chell stepped into the testing chambers. Final scenes are a beautiful song which also have a secret meaning, which you can find videos for, but maybe I'll get to that in a different video. It's very deep. And the ascension to the much awaited sunlight, and your reunion with the much loved companion cube. Oh, the little companion cube, so good. In probably a surprising 5th place is actually Metro Last Light: The Bad Ending. Metro Last Light is a game that in all the research that I have done did not turn up once in any of them, which was a bit of a surprise to me. Now, Metro Last Light has 2 endings: the good ending, which is difficult to get if it's your first playthrough, in which you have to do all the good deeds to bad people in order to teach the baby Dark Ones sympathy, and the result is where the surviving Dark Ones come to kill the bad guys before you are executed. But this spot definitely goes to the bad ending, in which the Dark Ones leave you and your team to die, which sounds horrible, and it would be, if not for your epic sacrifice to protect the rest of the Metro population from war. And what precedes is an epic montage of soldiers giving you salutes and your dead mother telling you not to be afraid anymore, mixed with a beautifully entrancing piece of music which sends shivers through your body and tears to the eyes of even the manliest men. The closing scenes show Anna, the mother to your child, telling your heroic tale to your son who was born after your death. Rightfully in 4th place is Red Dead Redemption. I'm going to come clean and state that I haven't played this game. I'm just going to say it. Cards on the table, I haven't played this game. But even with just watching the ending, I can sympathize with why it was nearly on every single top 10 video game list. And I looked through a bunch of them, like 5 pages of top 10 video game endings on Google. Just like 5 pages, every video you can think of as well. So I put it on here just out of sheer majority, because you got to trust the internet on things like this. And online reviews claiming this game to be a marvel, God among men, and anyone who hasn't played is a loser. Yep. Another terrific game that I sadly haven't played, but I put it on the list for the same reason as Red Dead Redemption. It was hailed by critics and gamers alike, and you know when I watched the ending, it straight up made my eyes water. No joke, I haven't even played this game, and the ending nearly brought me to tears. So maybe it was better that I didn't play it actually. Otherwise my mother would have had to steam dry tear stains out of the carpet for days. Actually, had no idea how they got there. Yeah, that would have been embarrassing. The game just has so much emotion connected to the story. When you are ordered to assassinate your mentor for being branded a traitor by her country to cover up the US's involvement in a nuclear strike. And it isn't until she's dying that she spills the beans and tells you the US government are a bunch of jerks. And don't even get me started about the masterpiece of music that plays at the end. When he's at the grave, just don't get me started. Just don't, I haven't even played the game and I'm so emotional about it. In 3rd place is Halo Reach, your Noble 6. Part of an elite team of Spartans called Noble Team that are dropped onto Planet Reach to investigate why a communications relay has gone offline. What proceeds is an emotional roller coaster as your entire team is picked off one by one throughout the game, and by the end it's only you left. And this is where shit gets real, as you are forced to sacrifice your life to secure the escape of the Pillar of Autumn. Normally this is where the game would end, the ship leaves, end of game. But Halo Reach takes it a step further in the emotional roller coaster and makes you play the final stand of Noble 6 as he fends against endless hordes of Covenant troops. Through the relentless fight, your visor begins to break, and once it is broken, the camera will go into a cinematic view, like the camera is inside of the helmet. And when the helmet drops, then you can see basically the view of the helmet. You never get to see his face, but yeah, and you get to view the final seconds of Noble 6's life as he is inevitably killed. And the ending speech is Hazley just given a beautiful explanation that your death was not in vain, and that what happened in the original Halo games is because of your courage and spirit, determination, and all-round badassery. In our very close but no cigar place is Bioshock Infinite. The ending had me baffled for days, baffled! Thinking, what the f just happened? In the end, it was just simply alternative dimension time travel. Simple, really. I had to spend days on the internet searching theory after theory as to the ending of Bioshock Infinite, as to come up with my own theory, which nearly made my head explode. In a much shortened version, here is what happened. Booker, the player, is also the antagonist Comstock, just from another dimension. The reason why there are two different Bookers is because after the Battle of Wounded Knee, Booker goes to a ceremony where he has to choose to have a baptism or to not. In some dimensions, he takes the baptism and becomes the evil, born-again Comstock. Comstock, actually, not Comstock. In others, he refuses it and becomes the Booker we know and love. In the end, when it's all explained to you and your smartest brain cells, even your smartest brain cells, are exploding, we wind up where it all began. At the baptism. The converging points in all the dimensions, and the only way to protect everyone from Comstock is to smother him in the cradle. And to kill him before he is born again. Then, just shit happens. A bunch of Elizabeths come from different dimensions to converge onto you and to drown you. Smother him in the cradle. Grave. Not the cradle. Yeah, it's a cradle. Anyway. And after the credits, want you to let the credits roll, and you've picked up all the little pieces of brain from the wall and the floors. After credits, you are Booker, back in your office, and you think your daughter, Anna, who is also Elizabeth, but we'll get don't even get me started, may be back in her little cradle as well. But before you know, the scene cuts to black. Don't feel bad though. If you think about it, in another dimension, Booker doesn't fight at the Battle of Wounded Knee. Now you have to remember that there are infinite dimensions and universes, and it's just baffling to understand quantum mechanics and all this alternate universe crap. Anyway, he doesn't fight at the Battle of Wounded Knee. Means he doesn't have to go to the baptism, which means his wife doesn't die. Oh, actually, yeah. No, wait. His wife doesn't. Yeah, his wife may not die, giving birth to Elizabeth, which I think is how it goes. Yeah, I think that's how it goes. His wife doesn't die, and maybe they have Anna, and he doesn't sell her. So everything works out somewhere. Somewhere in a galaxy far, far away, everything works out. But now, before we get to our number one, let's look at some honorable mentions. Batman Arkham City. Rocksteady had massive gonads. Massive balls to kill off the Joker. Massive! So big! Halo 4. Man, Master Chief is just too old for this shit.
But do not doubt the reality. The reclamation has already begun. And we are hopeless.
Bioshock. Would you kindly hit that subscribe button? Unique, yeah, I mean, original.
What was your reward?
I know.
You never said, but I think I know.
And Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 ending. Many tears were shed this day. Many tears. Alrighty, in the great and almighty first place, we have Final Fantasy X and Final Fantasy X-2. Bet you didn't see this one coming, did you? Nope, you were probably thinking, nah, this game should be it, this game should be it. And before your little trolly fingers start clicking on the buttons and being, what the fuck is this? This is bullshit. I picked Final Fantasy X ending, which then makes the Final Fantasy X-2 ending that much better because it just takes everything I love about video game ending and boils it into a 5-7-minute cutscene filled with love, loss, and acceptance. Though the final boss battle was complete garbage, and probably the worst boss battle of all time, oh, and this part. But let's forget that, and focus on the masterpiece ending. This ending made me feel happy and sad at the same time. It made me feel happy that we defeated Sin and saved Spira, but it made me sad when I realized that we all knew what was going to happen to Titus after they've defeated Sin. The final scenes are a roller coaster of emotions as Titus begins to fade away. Yuna runs to Titus for one final hug, but ultimately runs right through him, falling on her face. And of course, Yuna confessing her love for Titus was the final nail in the emotional coffin. All mixed in with possibly the greatest piano music I've ever heard. Made me cry then. And I have the ending saved on my computer. If I feel like I want to watch it again, like I need to cry sometime, I'll watch it. It still brings it still makes my eyes water to this day. And the after credits sequence shows Titus waking up and rising from the ocean, which was an incredible foreshadowing for FFX2. Like, before 10.2 came out, that confused the shit out of me. He just disappeared. He didn't die. He just disappeared. And now he's showing up in the bottom of the ocean and he's swimming up, and then boom! Cut to black. Thanks for playing. But this is why FFX2 is also on the list, because the endings fit into each other so well in FXX. I'll just call it Final Fantasy X instead of abbreviating it. In Final Fantasy X, you see Titus disappear, and then in the Jesus, I did it again! In the Final Fantasy X-2 good ending, not the perfect ending, there's 3 endings: bad ending, good ending, perfect ending. The good ending should have been the perfect ending. It has beautifully 3D rendered graphics, the most touching love story I've ever heard, better than Twilight, everything, okay. And just so good! It's way better than the perfect ending, which is just in-game cutscene. I mean, it's still good, but it's not the perfect ending. It's stupid. Finally, in the good ending, you see the reunion of the player that the player has been waiting for the entire game for, and it does not disappoint in the slightest. It just makes you feel so many good things. So many good things. So many good things. Man, it's so good! Ah! And that's why it's actually my favorite game of all time. 50% the ending, the other 50% just innovative not innovative gameplay, probably just innovation in general. First Final Fantasy to have voice acting, beautiful 3D environment. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. Anyway, that was my top 10 video game endings. What did you think? If there was a game that you thought should be on here, then tell me in the comments, and be sure to click the like button and subscribe if you think me worthy of having a spot in your subscriptions. And I will see you in another video.